Hi, this is Ehsan Sadri from Visionary Eye Institute from Newport Beach, California, here at OIS at AAO 2019 here in San Francisco, sunny San Francisco. My next guest is a friend, mentor, and what I call El Padrino of ophthalmology, which is, for those of you who don't speak Spanish, it means the godfather. There's a few of them. He's one of them. It's the what I call Goat Mountain, which is greatest of all time. So I want to embarrass you a little bit because we're friends. How many IPOs have you been involved with, Vince?
So as a CEO, 3, and as on the board, maybe another 2 or 3. All of them in NASDAQ.
So that's a record, by the way, for those of you who don't know. It's an honor to see you today. We talk online, offline about what you've done in previous companies, and congratulations on the Innovator Award. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. It's one of the greatest gifts that we've ever gotten, if you will, or recognitions that we've ever gotten. Casey and David Epstein started this company back in 2005, and after so many years to finally be recognized for all the hard work that they put into actually bringing a new medication to market that, as David would say, treated the underlying cause of the problem, which is a disease trabecular meshwork and glaucoma. And so to be able to design a drug with a small medicinal chemistry effort and actually eventually get it on the marketplace, it's no easy feat for anybody, large company or small. So we were very fortunate, and it's never a straight line. So there were some days when we wondered whether we were going to make it or not, but here we are, and now we have 2 drugs on the market. Not only Repressa, but the combination with Rocklatan. So we've been very happy with that result, and it certainly is a great honor that OIS has bestowed upon us.
Well, you notice how it says us, so it's he downplays his role, which I'm going to dive into. So let's say I'm an entrepreneur. I'm trying to be Vince Anido, which is tough shoes to fill. But so you pick up a company. I remember you and I met when you first started looking at this molecule, and with God rest his soul, Dr. Epstein. Mm-hmm. Market cap was what, 200, 300 million?
Oh, it was still private when I took it over. Right.
So it's private. And then in 5 years, the rest of it's history.
Right.
How does that, take us through that? How do you do that? How do you keep doing what you're doing and repeating success after success? And how, if a young entrepreneur is looking at that, can you take us through that a little bit? Because I think that's legendary.
Well, probably the biggest thing that we were able to do is because of our history in ophthalmology. Like mine goes back to 1993 when I was president of the Americas at Allergan. And so I've had the pleasure to get to know an awful lot of people in the category, so I was able to reach out and bring a lot of people to the company that had a huge amount of experience that would allow us to overcome any of the hurdles that we faced. Mm-hmm. And so every company that we put together, we always insist on a term that I use is overhiring. So if I need somebody at a director level, I usually go try to find a VP level at one of these companies, because when they get in front of the FDA or we're facing a manufacturing issue, I don't want somebody sitting there that's they're going to be practicing for the first time.
Figuring it out, right.
Right. I want somebody who's done that before. And so I think that's probably the best advice that I can give to anybody just starting, is just hire the absolute most talented, most experienced people that you can afford, because they will save you in an awful lot of time and energy. Remember that for the venture guys, about 90% of their success is purely based on the management team. Not the technologies, It's the management team.
People.
Exactly.
So take us through that. So you're starting out, you're going to the board, and that payroll is getting bigger because now you get, right? So what does that look like? So I know you're really good at the roadshow, but those of us mortals that are not, how do you sell that to the board? How do you kind of look at the overall payroll?
Well, it's one of those where you make choices about the ultimate valuation of the company and the ultimate value to our own investors, right? And so, we make those decisions, and so that's why we haven't partnered any of our products outside the United States. And we decided that we're going to do the development ourselves, because ultimately, if we wanted to, by keeping them a little bit longer, we think there'll be greater value there than if we partner them too early. And so that's why we're doing the development in Europe. We're going to get our first drug approved, Repressa, we call it Rokinza in Europe. So that's going to be approved sometime before the end of the year. And in Japan, we expect to unblind our phase 2 trial, which, by the way, is one of the fastest enrolling phase 2 trials we've ever seen.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. And so we'll have data before the end of the calendar year. And so, again, we haven't partnered too early. And so, we've spent an awful lot of money. To date, we've raised about $1 billion. We have $400 million in the bank. And so we certainly, given that we have 2 products in the marketplace that are generating revenues, we feel pretty good about our financial position. So we can make choices more about what the long-term benefits are going to be for the company than having to worry about, oh my God, I'm going to lose so much money that I'm going to have to go raise again in another 6 months.
Sure. So take us through that. So this is a good segue. What is the future of Airy? I know, you started in glaucoma. I was part of the trials. In clinic, it's been working phenomenally. It's our go-to products now. What's your vision? I know you're doing some back of the eye stuff. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about what your vision is and where you're going to be in the next 1-5 years?
What's amazing is our vision hasn't changed from the day that we took it public, and that is we expect that we're going to build the next major ophthalmic pharmaceutical company on the backs of Repressa, Rocklatan, and what we're building in the pipeline. So that hasn't changed at all. You have to look at what's happening in the marketplace today. We used to have these 2 huge gorillas, right? Allergan and Alcon, and things have happened to both of those companies. They're not the same ones that were there certainly when I was working at Allergan. And the emphasis on ophthalmology for both of those entities is certainly not what it was. And so that gives companies like us, it gives companies like Burns' company, Glaukos, it gives us all an opportunity to build out these things. And the reason you have to do it that way, because there's no guarantees you're ever going to get a phone call saying, I want to buy you. So if you believe in your technology and you have the ability to go raise the money, why not go for it? I mean, ophthalmology, we have the benefit of small audience. The trials, except for the retina trials, which are outrageously expensive, the trials for front of the eye are not that expensive to run. And our sales force is only 100 people. Sure. So that's something that's readily affordable.
Manageable, right.
It's manageable, and there's plenty of talent out there, so you can bring that expertise in if it's already resident in the company. And so for us, it was always a make or buy. Do we choose to partner or not?
Yeah.
And can we do it? Are we better off holding on to these assets for a longer period of time because ultimately we get more value? And so that's what we decided to do.
Yeah, and I think you're on the right path when it comes to this marketplace. Is that ophthalmology is a big but small space. So let's go back real quick, and while I want to keep you, OIS, I know you've been a part of it for so long. Mm-hmm. How's this helping you? What would you advise new companies? Should they come and spend a day with the other investors?
I'll tell you exactly what I tell everybody that I talk to about OIS at any of these major meetings. If I had a choice, I would only come to OIS. I go to the booth at all these meetings because of the importance of me being in front of the customer. Sure. That's the sole reason I come to these meetings. I don't do external meetings. This one's a little bit unusual because we have a lot of investors here in San Francisco, so I'm going to take a little bit of time to visit with some of them. Yeah. But I typically don't even do that. It's just OIS, and in one day, and like at ASRS, it was 3/4 of a day. Yeah. You get to find out everything that's going on in the industry. And so if I only had one or the other to do, I would do this as opposed to actually going on the floor of AAO. Very good. Are you doing a mentorship program for new interns? We miss you in California. Well, I love living on the East Coast, especially in Florida. And so we do quite a few internship programs. And as you well know, we spend an awful lot of time talking to a number of folks who are trying to do exactly this. I think the great thing about ophthalmology is that it grew up as an entrepreneurial segment of the industry. Yeah. Right? I mean, you've got an awful lot of doctors that have tried to become CEOs. Some did, some didn't, but yet it doesn't keep them from trying. And the good news is, thanks to Bill Link and some of these other guys, unmet and the like, there's money available. Yeah. And so that's not a common occurrence. And so that's the advantage of something like OIS, because it marries those kinds of things together, those two various different groups together, and we can continue building building ophthalmology, and it allows us to continue building our organization, because we're looking at some of the talent that we saw up on stage today.
Yeah. Pretty impressive.
And some of the things that you were doing at your morning session, certainly on presbyopia, and we have expressed interest in that category.
Yeah.
And so, we think that by coming to these kinds of meetings and just how healthy the environment is, will allow us to continue growing.
Yeah, very good. It's always just absolutely wonderful seeing you lead, and I look forward to working with you in the near future.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's great seeing you.
You too.